This is Matt Rhodes for Matlock Town TV, and I'm joined by Ross Hannah, as I'm sure every Matlock Town fan will remember from his first stint with the Gladiators. It was announced yesterday that Ross Hannah will be rejoining Matlock Town. Ross, how are you today, and how are the legs after that charity bike ride?
Yeah, I'm a little bit tired today, I'll be honest. It was tough few days. Yesterday were like the toughest one by far, but that was more really because of the weather were different to what we'd had previous 2 days. But we stayed strong and pushed on and saw it through. But yeah, today I'm feeling it. I feel like I've done 150 miles. I can tell you that.
Yeah, good fitness and good training for when you go back on the pitch. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like everybody else this month, you've got to do what you've got to do and work hard yourself at home and put the hours in, put the fitness in your legs, however you do it, and mixing it up. To be fair, I've done a bit of everything really, like a bit long distance running, short stuff, pitch football related stuff, and now obviously the bike stuff. It's been good. Felt really good.
Awesome. Yeah, so it was announced yesterday, a bit of a surprise to some people that you've come back almost 10 years after you initially left Matlock to join Bradford City. What's brought you back to Matlock Town, and how did the boss, Paul Phillips, sell the return to the Gladiators for you?
Well, it was a bit out of the blue. I did have a bit of a conversation in the summer with him. From when I left 10 years ago, like you say, you always, because I had such a good spell there and had a good affiliation with everyone at the club, the fans and everybody involved with it, I always felt like I would like to come back in at some point. But obviously football takes you on different paths, and you never know where you might end up. And sometimes it doesn't always work out the way you imagine it or how you want it to go. So obviously, yeah, went to Cleethorpes from Gainsborough and started to enjoy my football again, if I'm being honest. They were brilliant for me. We did, obviously, in between the break that we had from the season finishing.
Yeah.
Then obviously, I felt that were the right decision at the time to go back there in the summer. Like I said, I did have brief discussions with the gaffer at Fellow, and didn't materialise for whatever reason. And then I got a call last week from the Cleethorpes manager saying that I'd had interest. That they'd put the 7 days in for me. So I was like, if I'm being honest, straight away, I felt really interested to speak to the gaffer. I did so that day. Cleethorpes were brilliant in all of it. Like really made them move so smoothly, and it's a credit to them as a club and the people behind the scenes that obviously they didn't stand in my way, or they made it quite easy for me to speak to and make my own mind up. But to be quite honest with you, when as soon as I spoke to the gaffer, I'd already made my mind up. It felt like a no-brainer of a decision for me to make. It ticks all the boxes that I look for when I'm looking to move to a club. And I'm just glad it got all sorted so quickly, and we can look forward to getting back and getting going.
What did when Philo approached you then recently? Obviously, from the sounds of it, it didn't take much persuading this time around for you to decide to come back. What has he said about the team that he's recruited at the moment, and what he's looking to achieve once we do get back to action on the pitch this season?
Sorry, I didn't answer your last question fully, but going on the gaffer, he really stuck with me that his ambitions, it really shone through the call when we spoke on the phone. I'm really impressed by the way he come across, because I've come across him. I actually played against him. We had a bit of a laugh about that when he was playing in goal for Ashton and Royals and stuff. And then I've played against his teams. I know all about his teams. Really, how well he sets them up, how organised they are, how fit they are. And obviously, I knew how they would how we'd implement that at Matlock before even putting my foot in the door. Looking at the lads that are already there, some very good players that really could be still playing Conference North at least. So having spoke to him, he told me what he obviously expects from myself coming in, what he felt that the team needed. And then obviously I told him what I expect from myself first and foremost. And when we kind of like, it was replicated what he believes in as well. So it would kind of replicated from him that he wanted to, what he wanted from me and what I believed I could give him from a playing point of view. And yeah, that's what it was. Just one of them phone calls where it just felt right. Everything that he said, obviously, was as how I think and feel anyway.
Yeah, amazing. And well, for anyone that's only maybe started following Matlock Town like within the last few years, so after your first time at the club, it was a very successful time for yourself personally. So you won Matlock's Player of the Year award, I think in all 3 seasons that you were there for your first stint. In the last season that you had at Matlock, you scored in all competitions 52 goals. I've been informed by James Griffiths, Lionel Messi only scored 1 more in that campaign. But of course, Messi was playing against weaker opposition. But obviously, you scored a hatful of goals in that time. So obviously, you're held in very, very high regard by Matlock fans that have been following the club for at least a decade. What are your favourite memories of your first stint at Matlock? Are there any particular achievements that stand out for you, or particular games that stand out?
I mean, my move to Matlock, the first spell was kind of, I had a similar feeling. It is a bit surreal, really. The call I had with the gaffer last week were very similar to the call I had first time round from Phil Brown, who was the manager at the time, who signed me. So I was playing at Belper at the time, and I come in to Matlock, and it just felt the right decision. And obviously, it couldn't have gone any better, could it, from a personal point of view?
Yeah.
I think we started my first season. We started away at FC United.
Yeah.
And I think we drew 3-3. I'm sure we did, and I scored 2. And obviously that were a great start to my career. And FC United's someone that I've always managed to, one of them teams that I always managed to score against. You seem to have that in your career. There's teams that you seem to not have so much joy against, but there's teams that you do always seem to score against. FC United certainly being one of those. Obviously winning the Derbyshire Cup, Senior Cup that season, we remember that really well. And obviously from a personal point of view, the final season I can just remember people, when it become apparent that I might break that record, it were only really, well, to be fair, I'd scored about, if I remember right, I might give or take a few, but I think I'd scored like really, I were well on course for 20 goals in October. Might have even surpassed 20. I scored 7 in one game, actually, against Bedworth United in a trophy.
Yeah, I was informed that by James as well. I mean,
Yeah.
that wasn't like a county cup game against much, weaker opposition. That was in an FA Trophy game, weren't it?
And I remember me and Kingy, obviously was my brother-in-law. We laugh about it when we talk about it, but the keeper that day for them actually had a good game, believe it or not. It was actually their best player. He was brilliant. We won 9-1. I'm sure we did, and I scored 7. But yeah, when it come apparent that like I'm scoring a lot here, people at the club were like, "Oh, Bobby Fountain's record for all, like, you're on course to do it." And I was just like, "Well, let's see what happens. I'll try my best." And I was in a moment, I mean, like mentally, where I just felt like everything I was going to hit went in. It's an unbelievable feeling to have as a striker, as you can imagine. Like, you feel like you're going into games where, like, weekly, well, Saturday, Tuesday, I'm going to score tonight, and if I don't, I'll score next game. It was just ruthless in my thinking, and it were brilliant. And to be quite honest with you, we should have for one reason or another, we should have got at least in the playoffs that season. It's a shame that that group of players didn't do better than we did. But it was fitting that the fact that the last game fell into like the Buxton game, where I ended up getting an hat trick to beat the record. And that were it was kind of written for that to happen. Obviously being big rivals, playing them away. I think it was like a bank holiday, Monday or something, and yeah, I scored 3 and managed to beat the record on the last game of the season.
Well, of course, we don't quite know what's going to happen in terms of next month. It's still a little bit up in the air, but there is the Boxing Day trip to Buxton, so you might not have too long to.
Don't worry, I've looked at that one. I've looked at that one.
Yeah, you might not have too long to try and reenact the hat trick performance. I mean, you're already a legend at the club anyway, but yeah, that'll boost your status even more.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So, well, I'll be happy with 3 points.
Yeah, and well, so obviously it's been almost 10 years since you last played for Matlock. So obviously a lot's changed, and obviously a lot's changed in the world since then. What are your ambitions for your second stint at Matlock during this sort of different stage of your playing career? Are you still as hungry as ever to win a trophy or to win another promotion?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the spell that I had at Gainsborough ended up being obviously form of management, which was something that we didn't really want to do at that stage. We were just kind of just fell into it. I mean, me and Liam at the time were both injured, so it kind of sent, we were just doing the chairman a favour. Then we obviously did well and then took it on. But it did show that, to me personally, I wasn't ready to stop playing. And I don't think you can do both. It showed me that, and a lot of people who I've played with and still speak to and stuff who's been in those positions say exactly the same. And it showed that I'm not ready to anytime soon to hang my boots up. So and that's where, going back to what I previously said about Cleethorpes, that's why me leaving Gainsborough to Cleethorpes let me just enjoy my football again from a playing perspective. And there's a lot of things that I can, from my experience, obviously experienced players that, if you use them right, they are valuables. And I felt that I could give that on the pitch, and I really did enjoy just going back to as a player. And I will always just, whatever I feel like I can play at a decent level, I'll always have that mentality of just playing as long as you can, as high as you can for as long as you can. And that's what I've always thought, and that's how I've always gone about it. So obviously that's another reason, not just all the other things around the Matlock move. Obviously the jump to play higher again, I could have probably, some might have just been happy just playing lower, and just obviously, let's not beat around the bush. The quality of players is different. Even in the first game I played for Cleethorpes, I could tell the difference in the levels, even in just one league.
Yeah.
And I'm someone that I always wants to challenge myself. And like I say, I do everything right off the pitch. I look after myself, and I want to play as long as I can. So I will continue to do that. Yeah,
and well, still fairly recently. I mean, it was last year, last calendar year, that you were actually ended up becoming Gainsborough Trinity's manager, as well as playing for them. You said before, sort of like when you went to Cleethorpes, you kind of started enjoying football again. What was it like, sort of trying to blend managing as well as playing? Was it sort of even tougher than you thought it would be? And
yeah,
is it something that you'd ever want to go back to doing, to go back into the management side once your playing career, whenever that does end?
I mean, first and foremost, I'm a football man. My family's football through and through. I can't ever see myself not being involved in football in some capacity. What I'm trying to say is, I think you've got to give it your all in whatever you do in life. Of course you have, but in football, from when you've got one foot in one side and one foot in the other side, it's them things don't come together. You can't bring them together. And I think it's proofs in the pudding how many can you actually think of that it's actually, oh yeah, that's worked, being as a player manager, as a player coach? I don't think it does, because sometimes things are out of your control on a football pitch. And if you're the person that the lads look up to, or you're the lads that the lads look to you for some kind of inspiration, but if you're not doing that on the pitch because of the pressures of, like, hang on a minute, I'm the assistant manager, or I need to be doing stuff. You can try even harder than you actually should be doing, and not be focusing on what actually you can give on the pitch. So then you're going in half time, full time, and you maybe, like, obviously, heated discussions do happen in a football dressing room. Let's be honest, especially in successful ones, or if you want to be successful, you can't be then saying, "Well, you didn't do this and didn't do that," when you haven't done it yourself. I think that's one thing that I don't think you can do. I'm not saying, I mean, not everybody does. It's not like that happens all the time in a dressing room. And people, what I'm saying is, you can't expect something off somebody when you're not doing it yourself, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But whereas on the sideline, you're solely focused. You're watching the game. You're seeing a different game on the sideline as you've been on the pitch. Yes, you can help in some ways on the pitch, but as in a managing assistant capacity, I think you've got to be separate from the playing side, and be watching, and have people around you that you trust, and probably see different things to what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, I do coach. But my job is coaching kids, 2 to 10-year-old kids. It's a little bit different to obviously football. We do use football part of the program, but it's not an academy or anything. It's just getting the kids into football, being active. So, like, day to day, I'm coaching with young kids. Yes, it's different than older kids. Coaching something that I enjoy, I love, and like I said, so is football. So I'd never say never. I said, you can't say that in football, but I could see myself staying in football. But for the time being, I'm more than happy just being a player and enjoying my football, being successful. And like I say, yeah, while I'm playing, I'm not just playing for the sake of it. I want to be the top goal scorer. I want to set standards on the pitch that everyone else thinks, well, I'm going to do that. I want to win trophies. Want to win football matches. I want to help other people be successful as well, and like I said, be successful as a team, which I feel that we could be there.
And just finally, this season has obviously been, I'm sick of saying it now, but obviously it's been very, very strange. There's been no season like it. It's been such a strange year. How difficult has it been to try and keep playing during a year like this, where there's been a pandemic, and then when games are back on, you still can't have the full amount of crowds, and it's still not quite the same. How tough has it been to be a player at non-league in 2020?
Well, I think our perception of a non-league player, sometimes a lot of people think it's just that we're playing for fun, or it's like just an hobby, where people don't realise when they're in football, it's livelihoods as well as anything else. But obviously, lads, some probably younger lads, it's their only income, because obviously the money in non-league football is better, yes, than it has been a few years ago. So some younger lads who was inspiring to get back into the pro game might just have it as just a job, which is if they can do that, fair play. Obviously, for me, I'd obviously left Gainsborough, gone to playing football, thought this is brilliant, enjoying my football, good club, playing every week, doing well, and then month, boom, gone, season done. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
typical this. Obviously, at that time, we were really unaware of what it were all about, weren't we? We were all a bit took back by it, weren't we? And we were just, it were all about us all staying safe, weren't it, as families, and which is rightly so. But then it obviously went on, and then it was still in doubt as to when we were going to return, and what were going to happen, and you've just got to you've got to have a good mindset, good mentality. I think me personally, what's helped me through all of this, first lockdown and this, is the physical activity has been massive for me. I mean, obviously, not going to go on a tangent and talk about something else, but I'm really good friends with Liam Hughes, and obviously what he does for his charity and stuff has been big in all this lockdown. And I think stuff like mental health, even just going for a run and making yourself, because it does make yourself feel good. And obviously us being sports people, that we also need to do that for his job as well. But I think just getting out and just keeping yourself fit, obviously seeing your mates, have a kick around with your pal, whoever plays for like another club, or just to kick a ball, while obviously if you're allowed to, obviously, helps. Keeps you ticking over. But we all just want, I mean, we've had that carrot dangled, haven't we? We've started the season, we've all got back into it, we've had fans in, and then it's just been took away from us for a month again, hasn't it? And we're all like, we're just fed up with it, aren't we? We all just want a bit, like, at least give us football back. Obviously, if it's safe to do so, which it was before, so we'd like to think it is now. Let's just hope that they can, obviously, something can be sorted, and we can, in whatever capacity, at least get back to where we was before the lockdown, is in terms of playing football and having us fans around us.
Yeah, and obviously we don't quite know in terms of what's happening for next month or for January, because I know some non-leagues have already said they're going to suspend for a little bit the MPL. We don't know for sure yet what's going to happen, so that's still a bit up in the air. But when you do get back onto the pitch, when Matlock are back, what's your message for the Gladiator fans? And what was it like, the Gladiators fan base, when you first started playing for them, and how much you're looking forward to playing under their eyes again this time around?
Well, obviously, from 10 years ago, it's obviously a lot of faces that were there before. I think from I think I've been back twice since with Gainsborough. I think could see that the fan base has grown a bit more, which is great, and it's also got a younger fan base as well. So obviously, not everybody might know me from my first spell, but I think one thing that they can associate with myself is hard work on the pitch, and I believe that's one of my things that I think as a footballer you can guarantee before a ball's kicked. That's one thing you can always guarantee, is work hard, run around, and the rest comes. Obviously, the ones that were in my first spell, I've spoke to them on social media, all the diehards who's followed my career closely, and they're all, I think it's put a lot of smiles on faces in a period where we've not had much to smile about. They all know that I'm a genuine person that will give everything, and like I say, a goal scorer. I always have been, I always will be. So hopefully I can continue that. I think you might have to correct me on this, or James certainly will. I think I'm 10 off 100 goals.
Yeah, I think for Matlock, yeah, you scored 90 goals, I believe. Yeah, I think that's in all competitions, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so that would be nice. I'm never, obviously, I've been at a club long enough really to hit that amount of goals, so that would be nice to do that this season. Obviously, I'd love to get 52, 53, but with what's left at season, you've got to be realistic. I don't think that's going to happen, obviously, but to surpass that 100 mark would be brilliant for me. I'd really like to do that, especially at a club where I have fond memories, and Matlock's always been the first. Obviously, since leaving, it was such a big move at the time for myself, a big opportunity. I was really happy at Matlock. And the season before, I had clubs higher up coming in for me, and I didn't want to leave. And I felt like nothing come about that I really wanted to do, to go to. So I wanted to carry on from where I left off that season, which ended up being the right decision because obviously I followed it with 52 and then got a move to Bradford City. So they'll I'm just looking forward to getting back and hitting the ground running really. But that'd be nice to going back to the target of beating 100 goals would be nice and mean a lot to me.
Awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic stuff, Ross. So I think that wraps it up. And yeah, we just hopefully we'll get to see you back on the pitch sooner rather than later, when obviously you know it's safe to do so. And yeah, it's been really good to catch up with you, and I'm sure every Gladiator fan is really looking forward to seeing you back on the pitch.
Yeah, mate, brilliant. And anytime if you ever need an interview or whatever, just let me know and